Welcome to the Living Ageless and Bold podcast. Each episode, I bring you amazing women who inspire, educate, and share their experiences and journeys along the way. So grab a glass of wine or a cup of coffee, find a cozy spot, and let's relax and have some fun hearing what can be accomplished after 55. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Living Ageless and Bold. Can you imagine becoming a comedian in your next chapter? My guest today is Andrea Sodergren, aka Andrea Marie. That is her stage name. And she is the founder of Moms Unhinged, which is a national touring stand-up comedy show with 30 mom comedians. And I watch some of them, and you guys, they are hysterical, like hysterical. In her past life, she's a marketing expert. She's a co-author of one of the Dummies books, Facebook Marketing, All-in-One for Dummies. But now she is living her best funny life. So welcome, Andrea.
Yes. Thank you so much, Christina. It's so great to be here. It's so fun.
How in the world do you go from, and I said before we came on, like, I know you. I've either seen you speak at a conference, our paths have crossed. So you are a well-known Facebook marketing expert.
Right.
So talk a little bit about that, and then how in the world do you end up becoming a comedian? Yeah,
it is just kind of a while. And I started out as an engineer that's what I went to school for. I know it's like such a natural progression, right? From engineer.
Well, that's such a left brain, right brain.
Yeah.
That, like, my daughter's a left brain, right brain.
Yeah.
And we're always like, wow, that's so rare. So
right.
I didn't know that but engineer and comedian. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you start out as an engineer.
I know. So wild. But, it kind of, I feel like there's a little bit of a thread of creativity through everything, in that left brain definitely have a analytical mind to it. And I think that's also what brought me into marketing, is because I was really realizing that when I was starting to learn marketing for myself for this side business I did, which was wine tasting, in-home wine tastings. I know.
Sign me up.
I know. It was great. It was great. You got to drink on the job. It was.
I'm in.
I know, but I was realizing that there weren't tutorials that were like really analytical, step by step by step. And so that's what got me into Facebook marketing. Was I was teaching others how to do it. And there's just, a lot of things change, a lot of little steps in there to get ads created. So that was my analytical side. I had done comedy, though, all throughout. And actually, I started my blog as a character named Grandma Mary, social media edutainer.
I was going to ask you about Grandma Mary. Let's talk about her a little bit.
Right. So that's sort of, was also the way my comedy came out as well, was, to make it fun and funny and entertaining. And so that then also led to, I had done improv comedy, and that led to like doing stand up on the side. And then the stand up started growing and growing after COVID, especially after lockdown. People wanted to get out and laugh. And
they had a lot to say, probably, from all the stories of being locked down.
Yeah.
The comedy must have just been the material.
So it's really sort of been this progression of just following kind of something I've been curious about, and having that grow into something, and just continue to say yes to it and continue to lean into that next thing. So it's definitely been a weird progression for my career, but I think it's just always been kind of leaning into the thing that's growing and the thing that is really feeding my heart.
Which is so great. And that's what we talk about all the time on this podcast. Yeah. Women our age it's our time now.
Right.
It's okay. If you had kids or you didn't have kids, you worked, career didn't work, stayed at home, but now it's all about us. I'm doing this podcast.
Yeah.
I just
co-hosted a TV segment for my second time, one of the lifestyle shows in DC. I'm like,
awesome.
What? I looked at the girl. I'm like, McKay, I am 58 years old and I am co-hosting with you. Like, who would have ever imagined?
I know.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
So fun.
It is so fun. And I think that's the other thing that, that I love about this time of life is that we do get to really say yes to things that are exciting. And it is fun. And it almost feels like, a rebirth in a sense, because we were so focused on, people who were, maybe focused on raising a family or whatever that was. And you just pour so much of yourself into that endeavor. And then when kids start, getting older and needing you a little bit less, you're like, wow, I've got all this time. And I had definitely wanted to do, drama or something when I was younger. And my dad kind of said, no, just do it on the side. And I got it. I totally, it would have been a challenging life. And so I don't regret the path I've taken, but definitely it is this time to be like, hey, I can be a comedian now if I want to, or I can go into acting now if I want to, or whatever that exciting thing was for you that maybe something you didn't get to do. It's all available.
I had another interview that I did, Lori Dunwallen. You guys should listen to her episode too. And she was a career military wife. When she met her husband, she was modeling and acting, and then she raised her kids and did the military thing. And now she's in her 50s and she's acting again. And she's like, I'm not coloring my hair. Yeah. I've gained weight. Like, if you want this, and she's getting booked left and right.
Yeah.
And it's so inspiring. Same thing. We did our thing, and now we get to do this.
Right.
All right. I want to talk about comedy.
Yeah.
Because you don't just wake up funny. I know, like I was watching a bunch of the Moms Unhinged. And like I said, everybody, you've got to watch this. They are hysterical. It is so funny. But how did you go to class? Like, how do you learn the timing? Because it is a lot about pause.
Right.
And
yeah, for sure. I did go to a class. When I did improv comedy for years, and mostly before kids, because it's definitely, it is a challenging thing. You performing on, at night and all the, things like that. And I said, I'm never going to do stand up because that's kind of scary. You're up there by yourself. And it's like, you can definitely bomb up there. I have definitely bombed. And, I went to a class and they really did teach me. I went to several classes, workshops. My mentor was Christina Hall, and she had all these, local classes here. And, we learned joke structure. We really talked about the timing and the pauses, and then we would perform a show, and it was an easy way to get into it because the show was always like filled with the warmest audience. It's all your friends, family, it's all the comedians, friends of family and things like that. Everyone is rooting for you. They want you to succeed. So that was just a rush, performing in front of that audience. I was scared out of my mind. The first few years I was doing comedy, I would get right before the show and I'd be like, oh my God, I can't remember a single joke. It was like my mind was just like a blank slate. I was like, oh God, it's a wild feeling to get up there and perform, but it's so exciting to get to make people laugh. And it's such an interesting craft, just finding a new joke or the way you word something. The words can really matter. Just a simple tweak of a word or two can make or break a joke.
I bet. Do you look at everything now like, oh, that would be great? Like, do you see things unfold and be like, oh, there's my next joke?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, you do take inspiration from your daily life for sure. For sure. You're taking it. But sometimes it's funny. You think it's going to be hilarious and you're like, yep, that didn't work really well. It's definitely, I think the best comedy comes from your experience and your own personal take on it, and not just like observational, like, oh, how about those Starbucks coffees or something that, is a little more generic. I like to make sure I'm adding just kind of a personal twist, either just, maybe it's a little self-deprecating, maybe it is a reflection on me. I joke that I went into these classes hoping to get better at my marketing speaking, because I was doing marketing speeches, and I thought, oh, good, I'll learn how to write jokes for that. But I ended up just writing about my failings as a mother and my midlife crisis. So I didn't really get any material for my marketing.
It's so funny you say that, because I've talked to several people now who have done comedy classes for their speaking.
Yeah.
And I speak, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that. That's kind of a really good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is a good idea for lots of reasons. Like, for sure, you get, you get some things out of it for like how to write a joke and how to structure a joke. So I did learn how to, try and punch up my marketing speeches a little bit more, for sure. And that was always part of my brand, is to add some humor in. So, but it wasn't quite what I was looking for, because, with marketing, I didn't want to totally make fun of marketing while I was speaking about it.
Kind of your job, your livelihood. Yeah. Don't want to bash it too much.
I know. Yeah. So, but it definitely has all turned out great to take these classes. So, I'm so glad I did, because it's led to a whole new career.
So fun. All right. Tell me about the first time you went on stage, your first stand-up.
Yeah. The first time I did stand-up was at this first workshop show. They were kind of called workshops. And it was at a local comedy club. So it definitely had all the feels of being this club. And there were, I think it was 200 people in the audience or more. So it was really intimidating. And so I was just really, really, really nervous. I couldn't believe how scared I was, because I had already been speaking in front of large crowds, but this was totally different. And I'd already done comedy as well. So, it was so frightening. But afterwards, I was like, that was such a rush. I need to do that again. It was really, really fun.
I interviewed Marsha Warfield, if you remember her from Night Court.
Yeah.
And she talked about starting out, and her first set was 5 minutes.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of all she got. Now, the first time, did you have a 5-minute opening, or were you out there for 30 minutes?
No, gosh, no. We had 7 minutes, and It is wild how long that can feel. It is so crazy how long 7 minutes can be. So yeah, that was it. And it was kind of a long time, because normally 5-minute sets are kind of the standard starting point. Like if you go to an open mic, you might get, 4 or 5 minutes max. So it is definitely, but it is amazing how many jokes you can fit in that time frame. And so you do have to write quite a lot to be able to get to the best content.
I bet. So what was the content of your first set?
Yeah. And I was terrified to say it. I was, my first opening line was, "I'm worried I'm a terrible mom." And that was wild for me to even voice that, to even say that out loud, because I think everyone, you're kind of expected to love motherhood. You're expected to, and I think it's a little bit different now. There's more and more comedy about it, and kind of making fun of it, and kind of, talking about how difficult it is. But when I started 15, 16 years ago now, it wasn't quite a thing. It was just kind of more like, oh, we love our kids and they're the joy of our lives. And isn't that great? And I'm doing everything right,
Yes. I'm a mom. I hear you loud and clear. Yes.
So, so that was a scary thing for me to admit on stage. But afterwards, it just felt so good to be able to talk about some of these things. I think, it's when you talk about hard things and things that maybe people don't say out loud, it allows everyone to kind of laugh at them and, share in that experience and be able to say, yeah, I get it. That makes sense.
Hey, I'm normal.
I know.
You're going through that. I'm going through that. Phew.
Right.
So tell me about Moms Unhinged, because what a brilliant concept.
Yeah.
And where I've been following Leanne Morgan. She was actually booked for the show and then literally exploded overnight. She couldn't come on my show because she had to go co-star with Reese Witherspoon in something. And I was like, we were waiting for the book to come out. And I'm so excited for her because she would like what you all are doing.
Yeah.
I mean, just
great.
She's so funny.
Yeah. So great. So great. And I love that women comedians are really, getting more of the spotlight. I know that, it just historically it's been more of a man's world. And that was kind of one of the reasons I started the show is that, I wasn't getting booked on that many shows because it was just like there'd be like one woman or, if any on a show. And so I was like, I want to perform more. So I'm going to just make my own show because let's do this and it'll be all for women. And, of course, men can come and men are welcome too. But, they're scared. They're terrified. They come in like deer in the headlights. They're like, my wife is making me come. And I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
Don't worry. We're not going to throw you under the bus any more than you deserve. Okay. But it, definitely like when I started it was kind of before COVID. And at that time, my kids were younger. And so the other thing that was hard about being a mom and being a comedian is that I didn't want to go to these open mics that start at 10:30 at night and you get out at 1:30. I'm like, my kids wake up at 5:30. I can't.
Not going to work
it's
for me.
It's not going to work for me. So I couldn't go to many open mics. And I loved having shows because it is fun. It's fun if there's a good audience and open mics. A lot of times it was just like a bunch of 20-year-old dudes who don't get my middle-aged mom humor, and I'm like, God, am I not funny or is this the wrong audience? I think this is the wrong audience. So, so I started doing these shows and we started in 2017, just doing one or two. And Merritt actually was on, who's going to be on your podcast as well, or has been, depending on the timing. Was on the first show and we sold out and I was like, oh, this is great. And clearly there was a need for it. Clearly there was a demand for it. And so that was really great. And we just did like a couple shows a year because again, I was running my own business and had kids who were a little younger. So there was a lot of demands out there. And then after COVID, we did one Moms Unhinged COVID show over Zoom, which was terrible. It's so hard.
I was going to ask you, how does comedy land on Zoom?
Zoom
There's
comedy.
Something about body language and when you go to a show, it's Zoom all of that.
It was so hard. Zoom comedy was so hard. You just felt like you were bombing the entire time because either people were muted or like if they decided to open up the audio on everyone, people are like having little side conversations or something's going around and you're like, oh my God, this is awful. And so I saw one of our comedians, our headliners, Nancy Norton, did it really well. She had her own laugh track and she'd be like, that's funny. I'm giving myself a laugh here.
And that's what makes her funny.
It was great. Yeah. That was great. But otherwise, Zoom comedy was really hard. So we did one Zoom comedy show and just like, okay, let's just wait till things open up again. And then, so what happened is after COVID and, things got a little more loosened up, I was like, oh, I just need to laugh. Let's do more of these shows. And, let me just try and book more than I had been booking. And also the other thing was my kids were getting older and I just needed this outlet to laugh. And, we were booking them and they kept selling out and they kept selling out. And I was like, okay, all right, let's book more. And I was like, okay. And they kept selling. I was like, okay, let's try and break this. Let's see how many shows we can book. And they still sell out.
Was this just in the Denver area, or were you traveling at this point?
No, we right after COVID.
Denver.
Yeah, right after COVID for the first year or year and a half or so. I can't remember exactly the timeline of it, but we were only doing Denver shows, and I was just looking for any theaters around the Front Range area, up, Colorado Springs, Fort Collins, Boulder, Denver. And we were just looking for these small theaters. And we started doing like a monthly show at the, one venue that's kind of in my town. And that was, 120 people selling out every single month. And I was like, we are onto something.
How many how many funny women are there in Denver? There must be a lot.
Actually, I know it is wild. I think this was a great place to start because we had a few things going for us. We have a really vibrant comedy scene here, and we also,
who knew?
Yeah, it is wild. We have lots and lots of open mics, and we had some women teaching comedy to, and that also helped because then women were more comfortable signing up with a woman teacher. And Zoe Rogers, who runs the Boulder Comedy Festival, is here. She was doing some classes. Janae Burris, who was really involved with Comedy Works, she had some classes going, and there's a number of other women doing classes there were women who were coming out of those, and we were booking them on shows. So we had a really good roster just here in Denver. So we were able to then rotate our comedians and have a new show every time, which is one of the things that we like to do with our show. So people can come back over and over and see a brand new show every time and bring neighbors and things like that, whatever they did. So we just kept selling out. I was like, you guys, this is going great. I think we should take the show on the road. Let's do it. Let's try it. And I know it was exciting. And so the first place we ended up going was Las Vegas, where Merritt and I were already going to a festival there, the World Series of Comedy. We were both participating in. And so I was like, okay, we're both going to be there. Let's add a Moms Unhinged show there and bring out one of our other comedians there too. And so we did that, and it actually failed miserably.
Oh no.
I know. We did not sell enough tickets. We had to have seat fillers come in and fill the seats, but it while it didn't make money, and we also did partner with a local mom comedian there in Las Vegas too. So there was 4 of us on that show, but it didn't make any money. But I was still inspired.
So why do you think it failed though? You're in Vegas,
right?
Everyone's looking for a show, like something different. Yeah. I think it would have done amazing there.
I know, you would think, and that's kind of what I realized as we've really been working this a little bit more, is that I think there was so many opportunities, so many entertainment opportunities. We just got lost in the noise.
Too many.
And so what we find is that we do much better in suburbs where the moms are more often, not in the downtown city area where they don't want to go. There's not parking, it's going to be crowded. They're not sure about, that might take them a little while to get home to the suburbs. So now what we really look for are theaters that are in the suburbs that we're bringing the comedy to them, because most comedy clubs are downtown. And so, we're bringing the comedy out to the suburbs. People don't have to travel. There's usually a great parking lot. We start early. We're done by 9. I joke that we,
my kind of show.
I know. We party hard until 9 p.m., and then we go to bed.
Perfect for me and all of my girlfriends. Yes.
So, so it's really been a great formula. As we've really started traveling more, we've kind of stuck to that, tried to really stick to that kind of suburban show where we are looking for the right communities to be in, the right theaters to be in. And it's been a learning process.
What's been the best town outside of Denver for you all?
Yeah, we've had some really great shows in Baltimore, in some Texas locations that are outside of like Austin, outside of on the outskirts of Dallas, suburbs of Dallas. We had a really great show in Juneau, Alaska last year. Interestingly, the one we did this year wasn't quite as well attended. So again, it's just this learning process of, we had some great shows in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, in outside of St. Paul, in some suburbs, St. Paul, Minneapolis. Yeah. And yeah, so we've had some really amazing shows. I think our highest attendance, I can't remember if it's 600, somewhere in there, 600 people. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you have sponsors? Like, is this a full on? Are you looking for it? Like to take it on a national tour?
Yep. We are looking for sponsors. And that's one of the things that I think will really help allow us to grow. Because right now it's all been self-funded by me. and it's been profitable from the beginning. So that's definitely been a nice thing, is that it has been profitable. Not every show has made money. We've definitely seen a little dip with people being a little more worried about the economy this year. So it's just, again, like a learning process. But yes, sponsors are in our hopefully in our future. We're launching a podcast also coming up in the fall. So it'll be the Moms Unhinged podcast, which will allow us just to reach a bigger audience that way. And yeah, it's really exciting.
So you'll have your comedians on?
Yes.
Will you be the host? Like, what's the format for it?
Yeah. So I'll be the host. Initially, we're going to be talking to all the comedians. And then I think after we kind of run through our roster of 30 plus comedians that we have, we'll probably do some different things like, have more of a chat with, a few comedians on, maybe bring in a guest who has an unhinged mom story.
I think you could fill your show with that.
I know. I feel like there's a lot of material. That's why I'm like, why aren't there more mom comedians? There's so much material, but I get it. It's hard to do it all.
But it's something, meeting Merritt, and then Merritt introduced me to you.
Yeah.
It's something I never would have thought of. Like, some of the moms in a networking group that I was in, they did at the local comedy club, you could do it. And I was just like, oh, I would never do that. Yeah. But now I talk to Merritt and I'm like, oh, that could be kind of fun.
I know.
Like,
it is. It definitely is fun. I think everyone should try it. If you have any inkling of doing it, I think you should try it. And I do like definitely not in an open mic, that those are harder. If you can do it in some sort of performance, like a performance after a coaching or a class, that I think is the best, because again, like having a larger friendly audience who wants to see us succeed is just great.
Right. So fun.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you see? Like, what's your vision of Moms Unhinged?
Yeah.
Like, I can almost see it as like a Netflix series.
Yep. That's something that I'm thinking about for the future. Definitely global tour.
We're putting it out there for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Global tour. I love to travel, and I think that'd be so fun to take this show really on the road. And yeah, that's kind of, I think, just a wider audience. I think what this show is doing is filling a real need of community and laughing together with your girlfriends, and just a different way of to get out there and have fun and be entertained. A lot of people come up to us after the show and they're like, I've never even been to a comedy show. And I think that's amazing, because it's just really showing that maybe they just weren't interested in the usual roster of comedians that are out there that might be more, men than then they want to see, and nothing against men. I think it's just that this is just a really unique type of show.
Oh, like I said, when I watched it, because I love comedy, and we recently saw Sebastian I can never say his last name.
Maniscalco. He's so funny. He's hilarious.
So and my husband gave, when we were fourth row, he gave me that for my birthday. Awesome. Hysterical. And so even funny. The two openers, I mean, I'm crying, I'm laughing so hard. So a good comedy show. Yeah. And just watching your clip on the website. Oh my gosh, the woman talking about COVID and how she's more woman than she's ever been now, but because she gained some weight over COVID. And then will you tell that joke? Because I thought it was so funny about your husband making half the bed.
Oh yeah.
I was crying laughing.
I know it really, all of this comes out of real life experiences. Again, like I always think that relationships are just really, really hard. And it's just these little things in our lives that add up over time. Like sometimes in the morning, my husband would make just his half of the bed, which used to irritate me, but I wanted to take the passive aggressive approach, and I just made my half of the dinner. So, and that joke just really points to so many real things in there. It is like, it is the way I tried to point it back towards me, like being passive aggressive about, rather than say anything, rather than just say anything, I just, be passive aggressive about it. It's just all these little things that are hard in relationships and daily life, and, being in a relationship with other people. So
yeah. It's just tons of material.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. That's just so fun today. I cannot wait to see the show.
Yeah.
Tell people where they can learn more about you and Moms Unhinged.
Yep. They can just come to the website, momsunhinged.com. And that's where our show schedule is. That's where our podcast will be. You can also do things like request an area for us to come to if you want to have a show in your area. And we always try and see what we can do and if we can make that happen, because we are all over the place. We've been in 34 states so far. We have 180 shows that we're doing this year. So it's exciting.
That's amazing. Well, I'm going to put a request in for the DC metro area.
Yes.
I've got a big group of people we would love to come see.
That would be awesome.
Oh, great. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Christina. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening or for watching this episode of Living Ageless and Bold. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit subscribe. And if you like the episode, I hope that you will give us a great review. You can also head over to livingagelessandbold.com and sign up for information, inspiration, and exclusive opportunities for us, women over 55. Thanks for listening. And remember, no matter what you do, keep living ageless and bold.